Elisa did not believe in haunted houses. She believed in unpaid bills. So when she found the listing tacked to a corkboard in the back of Miller's grocery, she didn't laugh like everyone else had. She didn't whisper about it. She didn't even hesitate. The job paid well. Very well. There was no phone number, no business name, no interview required. Just an address, Black Hollow House. And at the bottom of the letter, written in careful ink, keep the house clean, air out the rooms once a week. Do not disturb the attic. Do not move the door. That last line was underlined twice. Elisa folded the paper and slipped it into her coat pocket. She told herself it was just theatrics. Old houses made people dramatic. Still, when she arrived at the edge of town where the trees grew thick and the fog clung stubbornly to the ground, she understood why no one else had taken the job. Black Hollow House stood like it had been placed there deliberately, as though the forests had grown around it instead of the other way around. The windows were tall and narrow. The porch sagged slightly in the middle. The chimney leaned just enough to make the whole structure look tired. The key was under the third stone beside the steps, exactly where the letter said it would be. That was the first thing that unsettled her. The second was the silence, not the quiet of windless air, not the hush before rain, but a silence that felt aware, as if the house were holding its breath. The door opened dizzily. Inside, the air smelled old, but not rotten. Dust lay lightly over the floors, as though someone had cleaned recently and then simply walked away. Furniture sat beneath white sheets, like covered bodies. The curtains were drawn, but intact. The house did not feel abandoned. It felt paused. Eliza stepped fully inside and shut the door behind her. Halfway up the staircase sat the doll. It rested in a wooden chair placed squarely on the landing. Not shoved aside, not forgotten. Placed. Its porcelain face was smooth and pale. Dark glass eyes reflected the faint light from the doorway. Yellowed lace framed its thin shoulders. Its small hands were folded neatly in its lap, waiting. Elisa stopped at the foot of the stairs. She wasn't afraid, but she didn't like the way it faced forward, centered, as though it presided over the house. "It's just a doll," she muttered softly. Her voice sounded swallowed. She forced herself to look away and began her work. The first few days were uneventful. She opened windows to let the stale air drift out. She wiped down railings and polished mirrors. Each morning, she greeted the house with a sort of polite defiance. "I'm not scared of you," she would say quietly, and for a while, she meant it. But she began to notice something. No matter where she stood in the foyer, the doll always seemed to be facing her. When she crossed left, its gaze followed. When she stood near the door, its glass eyes caught hers. She told herself it was the angle, the placement, her imagination filling in gaps. Glass eyes don't move. On the 8th night, she heard the knocking. 3 soft taps. Tap, tap, tap. She was standing in the upstairs hallway when it happened. The sound came from behind her, muffled, like someone knocking from inside the walls. She froze. The house felt tighter somehow. The knocking came again. Tap, 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 tap. She turned slowly. The hallway was empty. At the far end, the doll sat on the landing, but it wasn't facing the staircase anymore. It was facing her bedroom door. Her stomach tightened. She didn't remember it being turned. She was certain of that. Still, she forced herself to laugh. Old houses shift. Wood creaks. Memory plays tricks. The explanation lasted 2 days. On the 10th morning, she walked into the dining room and stopped cold. The doll was sitting at the head of the table. One of the chairs was pulled slightly back, as if someone had just risen. The lace dress pulled neatly around its porcelain legs. Its glass eyes stared straight ahead. Eliza's heart beat slowly. Too slowly. She crossed the room, each step careful. She had not brought it downstairs. She knew she hadn't. When she lifted it, the porcelain felt icy, colder than the air around her. She carried it back upstairs without speaking, placed it firmly in the chair on the landing. This time, She turned the chair toward the wall. "Stay," she whispered. The word felt foolish, but necessary. The next morning, the chair was empty. The doll stood upright in the center of the landing, balanced perfectly on its fragile feet, facing her bedroom door. Something inside her shifted then. Fear stopped being distant. It settled into her ribs. She took the doll to the attic, though the letter had clearly warned her not to disturb it. The attic air was thick and stale. Old trunks lined the walls. Cobwebs hung like abandoned veils. She set the doll against the far wall and stepped back. Its glass eyes caught the dim light filtering through a cracked window. She shut the attic door, turned the key, slid the key into her coat pocket. That night, she pushed her dresser in front of her bedroom door. Shoes in case. She dreamed of footsteps. Slow, measured, coming down the stairs. Tick. Tick. Drag. Tick. Drag. She woke with a start. The room was dark. The dresser had been moved, just enough to create a narrow opening in the door. The hallway light glowed faintly beyond it. She never left lights on. Her hand slipped into her coat pocket. The key was gone. The footsteps came again, not in her dream. Antistias. Tick. Drag. Tick. Drag. Her throat tightened as she stepped into the hallway. At the bottom of the staircase stood the doll, waiting, its head tilted slightly, its lips no longer cracked. The paint looked fresh. Its glass eyes no longer reflected the light overhead. They absorbed it. The front door creaked open behind it. Fog rolled slowly into the house. Thick, intentional. And in that heavy silence, Elisa understood something she had refused to see. The house was not haunted. It was inhabited, and she had never been hired to care for it. She had been hired to replace someone. Te Haipei. The missing phone number. The underlined warning. No one else had taken the job because no one else had come back. The doll took one small step forward. Its porcelain foot struck the floor with a brittle crack, but it did not fall. "You let me out." The voice did not come from its mouth. Its lips never moved. The voice came from the walls, from the floorboards, from inside a chest. "You let me out." The fog swallowed the staircase. The air pressed inward. And then, silence. The next morning, the house looked immaculate. Windows polished, curtains tied neatly, the front door closed. From the road, Black Hollow House appeared peaceful, almost welcoming. No one in town saw Eliza leave, but sometimes, if you drive past the house late at night, you might notice a figure standing in the upstairs window. Very still, head tilted slightly, watching the road, and behind her, on the landing, a wooden chair. Empty, waiting, because Black Hollow House is always hiring, and it does not stay lonely for long.